Yeah, the season over. This is the home opener. How much excitement is there in getting it done in front of the Petco crowd?
Yeah, no, I mean we've already broken the seal on the regular season opener, but home openers are always special. And we flew back in and got into this beautiful stadium and had the exhibition games. We're really excited to play in front of the faithful Friars.
You've had the experience of being out on that field in the third base box with this place full and packed. What is it like? What's that energy like for guys that haven't experienced it yet?
Yeah, it's a special stadium, with really special energy. Been blessed to be in a lot of different stadiums, and the energy here and it's one loud stadium. This might be the loudest stadium in the league, and the passion just comes through. So it's a special place to play. We're excited.
Does it help at all? Do you think that you already had an opener on the road to maybe harness some of the adrenaline that's going to be here, especially for some of the younger guys?
I think it helps, but I do think there's going to be some clear adrenaline here. Opening day, Petco, it's pretty special. So there'll be some rightful, excitement, energy, and we're ready to get going.
Your confidence in having a veteran like you, Darvish, on the mound for you today?
Yeah, really important. To have a guy like you. I mean, look, our whole rotation we feel really strongly about. But you clearly a veteran guy that has been there, done that, and we're excited to have him out there today.
Mike, how interesting is it that your first game managing the Padres and the other dugout is the guy that you worked with for the last couple of years?
Well, it's the first game in the regular season at home. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, listen, I think highly of Bob. He's clearly done a nice job for several years and enjoyed being a part of his staff for 2 years. So, but candidly, beyond, it's really about who we play and how we go about our competition. But yeah, it's another part of the opening day fabric.
You've got a 20-year-old in the lineup in Jackson Merrill. Obviously, he has the experience of playing the games in Korea, but getting out there in front of a crowd like this, what are some of the words of advice maybe you've given to somebody like Merrill the last week or so?
I don't know that Jackson needs like a ton of hey, man, this is what we got to think about doing. I think I'm confident Jackson's got a pretty good feel of it. We're always going to be supportive of Jackson, of course, and, give him encouragement. Went out and played baseball in the openers against the Dodgers, and looked fine in the 2 exhibition games here, and he's just going to go play baseball.
As far as the competition in the National League West goes, this is going to be a really tough division right here. How much do you look forward to that and just playing the best on a consistent basis?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, we embrace competition, excited about it. Clearly, it's a very strong division. We always want to be respectful and will be about who is in our division, but ultimately it's about what we do, how we compete, how we go about it, how we execute, how we play the game. We do the things right across the board. We'll shake a lot of hands.
We've talked a lot about Peter Seidler and his legacy. The players certainly had a lot to say about it in the clubhouse. Your thoughts about it heading into the season right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, Scan, about Peter. He had the celebration of life for him, and it was a great tribute to a great man. I can feel his presence here today. He's clearly with us in spirit and memory, and we're going to honor him today, of course, and he'll be in our hearts all season.
Final roster was made today. Some tough decisions to be made, especially on the pitching side?
Yeah, very tough decisions. Really competitive camp, as we know. Of course, we went to Korea with a little bit different makeup of the roster relative to the 2 games. And then we made some decisions that were really a challenge. And for, Maury Hone being the last pitcher off was a real tough conversation, because you're talking about a guy that really showed some elite stuff the last couple of times out and has it and has really taken that next step. Right now we got a really good major league pitcher in El Paso. We got some really good major league players in El Paso, and the encouragement to them is just stay ready and continue to get after it.
To that point, I mean, the players, the coaches, the fans are all excited about it. I would imagine it runs in the front office as well, some excitement and adrenaline on the home opener.
Yeah, it's always, I mean, any obviously baseball opening day, for pretty much everybody else outside us and the Dodgers, and it's always super exciting to be here, Petco, a lot of work this offseason. Guys are fired up, ready to go.
Obviously, a lot of changes in the roster from last year. What do you like most about this year's roster and the strengths that it has?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, from got really some star power, some guys that at the top of the roster should. I think they're very motivated from, going into the season from last year. I think some really interesting younger players that have, Jackson Merrill starting in center field, come up through the system. Some guys that honestly, like, Tyler Wade and some guys that have, have kind of battled and gotten back to the big leagues, and I think have something to prove. So I think, mix and match, a lot of guys are very motivated, coming from all different paths, but I think should make for an interesting team.
There's usually some tough decisions making that final roster. Were there some tough ones for you this time?
Yeah, no, I think me and Mike, Shildt, we talked about a lot all spring training. A lot of our conversations with players were kind of like copycat conversations in terms of like guys that played well enough to be on the opening day roster and played well enough to be here at Petco. So, they're always fun when you're able to tell somebody they made the roster officially. And, we had, obviously a different process the last few weeks with traveling roster to Korea, opening day roster in Korea, and then some different faces, for today. So we had a chance to, 3 different times kind of tell guys that they were going to be with us, and also made for some tough calls because some guys played really well in spring training, but I think that should serve us well throughout the year.
Obviously, the focus is on how you guys are playing, but at the same time, the NL West is really looking to be a very tough division. How much are you looking forward to seeing that competition all season?
Yeah, no, I think it feels like at any time players are available, they usually find their way into the NL West. At least the good ones do. So, but it's really nothing new. I think it's something we've had for really over the course of the last 5 or 6 years. It's as good as any division in the game. If you come out of it, you're battle tested. Obviously, us in the playoffs a couple of years ago, the Diamondbacks last year, Dodgers, Giants, Rockies. It's just a really tough division, but I think it helps you from a competition standpoint for sure because, make sure you're ready for the season. If you come out of it, you definitely earned your stripes.
You mentioned Jackson Merrill. How significant is it that he was drafted and developed and now he's in the big leagues for you guys and looking to be an impact player at a prime position?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a good thing. Like, obviously, I think it speaks volumes for our scouts, Chris Kemp, Danny Sater, Mark Connor, our scouting director has been, that's been a big part of this thing as we went. Our player development group with Riley Westman, they put a ton of time and effort into it. They're very good at what they do. It feels like every year we've got, a real strong farm system. Seeing those guys come to the big leagues play for us, that's the goal. That's the idea. Jackson's been really fun to watch his progress and how he handled spring training. I think we're all excited to see him out there today.
How much of a precedent does it also help to have a guy like Jackson and Graham coming up to the other prospects that you have in the organization? I know some of those guys were mentioned here in the last few days in the exhibition games, that it was really an inspiration to see those guys up here and really set the tone and create a path.
Yeah, no, I think the guys in our they're super tight. I think I think that group. Both position players and pitchers. So I think they're excited for each other, but also I think it gives everybody just maybe a little bit extra motivation that, hey, I think guys that have played with them and competed with them, I think, hey, that could be me, and hopefully we'll be a bunch of guys here this year as we go forward.
In your bullpen, obviously a lot of new faces, a lot of talented arms in there. What excites you about that group in the pen?
Yeah, I think, a lot of different looks. Obviously, multiple lefties, for Shildt and for Ruben to be able to pick and choose from. You've got, with Cosgrove, with the Tom Cosgrove, you've got the big wide sweeper. You've got Wandy and his experience with the changeup. You've got Yuki Matsui coming over and having multiple ways to get guys out. And same thing from the right-hand side. It's a bunch of different options. Really seeing the progress with Stephen Kolick, a guy that from a pro scouting group, I think did a great job in selecting him as a Rule 5 pick. We'll see how he plays out. Johnny Burrito coming over in the deal. Obviously, we know what Suarez is capable of. So it's a versatile group. It's deep. I think it gives Shildt and Ruben different looks. So I kind of excited to see how that plays out this year.
The rotation was a big question mark at the beginning of the offseason, and now it looks like it's one of the deepest in at least the National League West. Can you talk us through the process of how you built the starting rotation, even into the minor league system?
Yeah, no, it's obviously you got to have starting pitching to win. So I think it's every single year. It's always about adding starters and guys that can get you deep into games. And we've had good rotations here over the last 4 or 5 years. It's probably why and I think why we've been to the playoffs a few times and advanced in the playoffs. This offseason, obviously, that was sitting down as a group. We knew that we were going to have to attack it a bunch of different ways. Obviously, the Soto trade, being able to bring back Michael King and then indirectly, Dylan Cease. And then adding some other guys that are also, I think, in that deal that are going to supplement us, Randy Vasquez, Johnny Burrito. I think Higgy, from a defensive standpoint, catching-wise, helps the rotation as well. I think we're also excited about a prospect group that, we think will come up and help us here this year at Petco also. So, I think some new faces. Obviously, Darvish, Musgrove, a good place to start. And then, have rounded it out with Cease and King and some real depth in the system. So you can never have enough starting pitching, but I think we're excited about where the rotation starts going into the year.
AJ, Jackson's playing every day. You want the prospects playing every day. We have not seen that with Graham yet. Why the two different paths, approaches for their playing time so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's got a different path to the big leagues, and then once you get to the big leagues, I mean, talking with Shildt, we talked about putting Graham on the roster, and it doesn't mean that you have to. I mean, I got a lot of guys have broken into the big leagues all different ways. So I think talking about it doesn't mean you have to play every single day, to maximize your development. I think Graham he'll get opportunity. We definitely see him as a guy that can come off the bench and play that way. And for Shildt, letting him kind of put the pieces in the way he sees fit. In terms of we got some options from a defensive standpoint. We got options that do things from an offensive standpoint. Graham has some versatility, so I think he's going to get opportunity. Hope he makes the most of it. And I think the more he plays well, he'll get more and more chances. So.
AJ, I noticed the mustache. How long are you going to keep that, and what's the motivation there?
Yeah, I think obviously Peter Seidler, just a kind of a celebration and just more of a tribute to him. So a bunch of us front office throughout the organization. Trevor Hoffman mentioned it at the ceremony on Saturday that just kind of as a tribute to Peter. And yeah, if we score 15 runs again today, it's staying. If not, hopefully hopefully it stays for a while. But at some point here, probably pretty soon for me. I can't speak to my own looks, but I know looking in the mirror it doesn't quite look right. But I think just kind of like looking at it, kind of laughing about Peter, who always liked to have fun. I think a bunch of us got together for that reason.
AJ, you saw both start season double A, not triple A. Could you explain what was your thought process of it?
Yeah, we talked on Go. They're just talking about just kind of, again, I think he mentioned in terms of like a build up and a ramp up for him into the season. We just thought it was a good spot, not a rehab assignment, just thought it was a good spot for him to go down, kind of continue building up. From an environment, a lot of our better guys are there, pitching coach there that we have a lot of trust, former big league pitching coach there, et cetera. And obviously, from his standpoint, in terms of PCL sometimes can, artificially, make it tough to evaluate and judge. I think from our standpoint, just getting a clean look on Go and having him kind of continue to build off of the spring and, get him into a spot where hopefully he's back here at Petco soon.
This might be a little down the road, but have you decided yet where Snelling and Salas are going to start off the year?
Yeah, they're I think the minor league rosters, they have a pretty good sense of where they'll be at. It'll be announced here in the next couple days. But again, like they're always from our minor league situation, it's always a spot where we're challenging guys and believing accelerating the progress of our gifted. But they'll be in a spot where they're hopefully able to have a big year from a development standpoint, and then we'll announce it here in the next couple of days.
And then for our friends at our Telemundo station, Tirso Ornelas, being the Tijuana native, had a really good showing at the prospect, the spring breakout. Prospects for him, would he be one of the first guys, maybe if there is, God forbid, an injury, he might be able to pop up this year? Is he showing maybe he's arriving now?
Yeah, I think the conversation that Bob asked, in terms of the depth, he's one of those guys that real good off season, playing winter ball, good spring training, and really the last couple of weeks on the minor league side, he just continues to get better. From an offensive standpoint, swinging the bat, he's in a good spot. And if we need more, if we need some reinforcements, guys that come up from AAA, I think Tirso is going to be one of those guys that'll be one of the first names we talk about.